So picture this. A quiet mosque in Islamabad, you've got a simple water cooler and a steel glass. But here's the twist. The glass is chained to it. And these two unlikely objects, they're about to tell us a powerful story about the very soul of a nation. We're going to dive into this parable and see what it tells us about a much, much bigger problem. And it all kicks off with this one simple question. The glass asks the water cooler, "Why am I chained to you?" I mean, think about that for a second. It's a question that should sound completely absurd in a holy place, right? But the answer, well, it unlocks a really devastating truth. The glass is just confused. It can't wrap its head around why it needs to be held captive. Who would steal from a house of God? But the water cooler, the water cooler has seen things. It's been a silent witness to the world, and it promises to explain the harsh reality of why, yes, even a drinking glass needs to be locked down. And this is where the water cooler starts its tale. And look, this isn't just about one potential thief in one mosque. This whole thing is a parable for how an entire society can lose its way, its integrity. Just let that sink in for a moment. A place that's supposed to be built on faith and trust is so filled with suspicion that a simple object of charity, a glass of water, has to be chained up. This small act of distrust is just a symptom of a much larger disease spreading right under the surface. And you see pretty quickly that this problem goes way beyond the mosque walls. It is not an isolated incident. It's a pattern, and it's everywhere. Shoes getting stolen during prayer, shopkeepers cheating you with their scales, people mixing brick powder and even shampoo into food just to make a tiny bit more profit. It's just become normal. You know, this isn't just a story or a feeling. The numbers actually back it up. Year after year, Transparency International puts Pakistan right up there with the world's most corrupt nations. So we're not talking about a few bad apples here. We're talking about a rot that's gotten deep into the core of the system. And this is where it gets really, really dark. I mean, it's one thing to get cheated at the market, but it's a whole other level of evil when that greed leads people to sell fake, life-saving medicines. And who do they sell them to? The most vulnerable people imaginable. Cancer patients, and even children. The moral line is just gone. And if you thought that was bad, believe it or not, it gets even worse. The very people who take an oath to do no harm, doctors, are caught up in stealing organs from poor patients to sell on the black market. The healers have literally become predators. You know what's really fascinating? It's how this stuff just weaves itself right into the culture, even into the language. Take this term, chai pani. It literally means tea money. Sounds pretty harmless, right? Well, that's the point. It's a casual, everyday way to talk about a bribe, and that casualness makes it feel normal, just another part of the process of getting things done. So you can kind of see how this whole thing snowballs. It starts small with these little individual acts, like chai pani, but then, boom, it grows and it infects the institutions. We're talking about entire police stations being sold to the highest bidder, and that leads to the highest level of decay, a total political collapse, where the lawmakers themselves are just bought and sold. Okay, so this all brings us right back to that first question from the glass. Why? How in the world does a society get to this point? Let's take a look at the causes. This is the big one, isn't it? The question at the heart of this whole story, asked by the glass and really by anyone who sees this kind of decay. Why has this happened? So the water cooler leaves out this kind of four-step breakdown. First up, you've got poverty. When people can't feed their families, morals can start to feel like a luxury they just can't afford. Second, the justice system is broken. If there's no punishment, the powerful just do whatever they want. Third, the people at the top, they're setting the worst possible example. And finally, you put all that together, and the very character of the nation just dissolves. It gets replaced by a mad scramble for money and power. All right, let's go back to the mosque, because the story isn't over yet, and the ending is, well, it's something else. So the glass finally gets it, and it's heartbreaking. The chain wasn't to protect it from some random stranger. Nope. It turns out the mosque's own leader, a man who supposedly misuses charity funds, was afraid that someone else would steal the glass. I mean, the hypocrisy is just staggering. So there they are, the glass and the water cooler, just taking in this awful truth. And then a young boy shows up. The whole mood changes. He's not there for a drink of water. He's carrying a metal cutter. And just like that, in one quick move, he cuts the chain. The one thing that was supposed to prevent the very thing everyone was worried about. And he snatches the glass and just runs. The fear that started this entire story becomes a reality right then and there. And with that, the parable is over. Simple, bleak, powerful. The glass was stolen. The cycle of corruption, suspicion, and theft is now complete. But the story doesn't just leave us there, in the dark. It actually offers a path forward, starting with this teaching. The message is pretty clear, right? Responsibility doesn't just belong to the people at the top. It's on all of us. We're all shepherds, and we're all accountable for our own little corner of the world. And this powerful verse just drives that point home. It suggests that you can't fix a nation from the outside. Real, lasting change only happens when people change what's inside themselves first. The reform has to start in the hearts of individuals. And that leaves us with this final, really challenging question. The story of the stolen glass, it isn't just a parable about one country. It's a mirror that reflects the nature of trust and decay in any society. It forces all of us to ask ourselves, if we're part of the problem, how can we start